A lot of people are given the God-given gifts, and some people don't have the intensity or desire to get in there and mix it up, and he had both of them.
There will never be another Michael Strahan. 22.5 sacks. One season. One record that still stands 24 years later. But here's the thing nobody talks about. Michael Strahan almost never touched a football until he was 17 years old. The man who would become the most feared pass rusher in NFL history spent his teenage years on a military base in Germany, 4,000 miles away from any Friday night lights. He didn't play Pop Warner. He didn't dominate high school for 4 years. He played exactly one season of American high school football. And somehow that kid who barely knew what a three-point stance was became the defensive end who made Tom Brady look mortal, who turned Brett Favre into a trivia question, and who walked away from football holding the Lombardi Trophy on the last play of his career. While other legends chase rings for decades, Strahan got his Hollywood ending, sacking Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, ruining perfection, and riding off into the sunset. This is the story of the gap-toothed assassin who revolutionized the defensive end position, the military brat who went from the German forest to Canton, Ohio, the man who proved that sometimes the best players aren't made in youth leagues. They're forged in places you'd never expect. There will never be another Michael Strahan, and once you hear this story, you'll understand why that's not just an opinion. It's a fact, carved in granite. Chapter 1. The Rise. Michael Anthony Strahan was born in Houston, Texas, but America's future sack king barely knew America at all. When he was 9 years old, his father, Major Gene Strahan, a former Army boxer who once went toe-to-toe with future heavyweight champion Ken Norton and split their two fights, got stationed at a military base in Mannheim, Germany. And just like that, young Michael's football dreams got packed away with the moving boxes. Think about that for a second. While future NFL stars were learning spiral techniques in Pop Warner, Strahan was learning German. While they were running Oklahoma drills, he was running through the Black Forest at 5 a.m. because his military father believed in discipline before breakfast. Every single morning. 5 in the morning in the German woods, a chubby kid and his boxer father running until their lungs burned. "Let's go running," his dad would say. And it wasn't a question. It was an order from a major who'd literally fought Ken Norton and won. The prize for finishing? A large bottle of Gatorade. That was it. No trophy, no ribbon. Just sugar water and the knowledge that tomorrow they'd do it all over again. In Mannheim, soccer was king. American football, that was something you watched on Armed Forces Network at 3 a.m. on Tuesday mornings if you were desperate enough. And Michael was desperate enough. At 13, he started setting his alarm for those ungodly hours, sneaking downstairs to watch Monday Night Football broadcasts while the rest of Germany slept. He'd sit inches from the screen, studying Lawrence Taylor like other kids studied for algebra tests. His mother, Louise, was a basketball coach who kept the family grounded while moving from base to base. She raised 6 kids on a military salary, and Michael was the baby, the one his father saw something special in, even when that something was buried under teenage awkwardness and complete ignorance about American football. By the time Michael was 16, he'd grown to 6 feet 5 inches, but had the coordination of a newborn giraffe. His father took one look at his youngest son and made a decision that would change NFL history. "You're going to play football," Gene told him. "You're going to get a scholarship. You're going to the NFL." Michael thought his dad had lost his mind. The kid had played exactly 1 year of football when he was 8 years old in North Carolina. Now he was 16, hadn't touched a football in 8 years, and his father was shipping him back to Houston to live with his Uncle Art, himself a former NFL defensive end who played for the Houston Oilers and Atlanta Falcons, for his senior year of high school. Westbury High School in Houston got a 6 foot 5 inch kid who literally didn't know how to put on his shoulder pads correctly. The coaches thought someone was playing a prank. This gangly teenager from Germany who spoke with a slight accent and had never heard of a swim move? This was supposed to be their defensive end? But raw athleticism doesn't lie. At 6 feet 5 inches, 250 pounds, he had an explosive first step and closing burst that turned raw tools into terror. Strahan had one season to prove he belonged on a football field. The coaches taught him technique on Tuesday, and by Friday he was destroying offensive tackles who'd been playing since kindergarten. After 3 games, college scouts started showing up. After 6 games, they were calling it a phenomenon. Somehow, despite having less football experience than most middle schoolers, Strahan dominated enough to earn exactly one scholarship offer: Texas Southern University, a small HBCU that most people couldn't find on a map. Alabama didn't call, Texas didn't call, Notre Dame didn't even know he existed. At Texas Southern, Strahan was so homesick, he literally tried to quit and fly back to Germany 3 times during his freshman year. 3 times his father talked him out of it. "You're not coming home," Gene would say over crackling international phone lines. "You're going to figure it out." And figure it out he did. By his junior year, Strahan was recording 14.5 sacks against players who'd been playing football their entire lives. By his senior year, he had 19 quarterback sacks and 32 tackles for loss. He was named first-team All-American, Black College Defensive Player of the Year, and the Southwestern Athletic Conference Player of the Year for the 2nd consecutive season. His 41.5 career sacks at Texas Southern is still a school record that will probably never be broken. But here's the crazy part. NFL scouts still weren't convinced. A defensive end from a small HBCU who started playing football at 17, who learned the game from watching Lawrence Taylor at 3 a.m. on military television. The first round of the NFL draft came and went, and Michael Strahan's name was never called. It wasn't until the 40th pick of the 2nd round that the New York Giants decided to take a chance on the kid from Germany.
Have selected Michael Strahan, defensive end, Texas Southern.
There were 39 players that NFL teams thought were better than Michael Strahan. Chapter 2: The Dominance. Strahan's rookie year was a disaster. Foot injury, 9 games played, 1 sack. The New York media was already writing him off as another second-round bust. But something happened in that Giants locker room that changed everything. Strahan started studying film like his life depended on it. 8 hours a day, 10 hours, 12. He'd fall asleep in the film room and wake up to start all over again. "I'm just a figure-it-out type of person," Strahan would say. And figure it out he did, with a vengeance that would terrify offensive coordinators for the next 14 years. By 1997, the transformation was complete. Strahan exploded for 14 sacks, earning his first Pro Bowl selection and first-team All-Pro honors. But that was just the appetizer. In 2001, Strahan did something that shouldn't have been possible. He recorded 22.5 sacks in a single season, breaking Mark Gastineau's record that had stood for 17 years. The 2001 season was a masterpiece. 0 sacks in the first 2 games, then 3 sacks against the Saints in Week 3. By Week 5, he was destroying the greatest show on turf St. Louis Rams with 4 sacks against MVP Kurt Warner. The Rams had been averaging 35 points per game. Strahan held them to 15. He also led the league with 7 forced fumbles that year and was named NFL Defensive Player of the Year, the first Giant since Lawrence Taylor to win the award. The final sack came against Brett Favre, and conspiracy theorists still claim Favre took a dive. Watch the tape. Favre took a dive like a boxer takes a punch to the face. Strahan was inevitable that season. But here's what the stats don't tell you. Strahan revolutionized the position. Before him, defensive ends were either pass rushers or run stoppers. Strahan was both, simultaneously, every single play.
Strahan is the best ever.
Offensive coordinators had to redesign their entire game plans around one man. In 2003, Strahan led the league in sacks again with 18.5. He was NFL Defensive Player of the Year in 2001 and earned 4 first-team All-Pro selections and 2 second-team honors during his career. The 2005 season was supposed to be his swan song. Strahan was 34, beaten up, contemplating retirement. Instead, he combined with Osi Umenyiora for 26 sacks.
You are the best. You are better than me. All right?
The Giants' defense was literally breaking mathematical models. Teams couldn't block them both. Hell, teams couldn't block either of them. But it was October 23, 2006 that showed who Michael Strahan really was. Monday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys. Strahan needed half a sack to tie Lawrence Taylor for the Giants' all-time record. The Cowboys knew it was coming. They double-teamed him, triple-teamed him, ran away from him. Didn't matter. Drew Bledsoe dropped back, and Strahan came screaming off the edge like he was 25 again. He hammered Bledsoe for the record-tying sack. Strahan stood there for a moment, looking at the stadium crowd losing their minds, and you could see it in his eyes. He wasn't done yet. But 2 weeks later, disaster struck. November 5th, 2006, against the Houston Texans. Strahan's foot got caught in the turf, and he suffered a Liz Frank fracture, one of the most devastating injuries in sports, the same injury that ends careers. Doctors told him he might need a year to recover. Some players never come back the same. Tiki Barber went on his radio show and said Strahan probably would retire if he needed surgery. The media was writing his obituary. At 35 years old, after 132.5 career sacks, it looked like the gap-toothed assassin's career was over. Chapter 3. The Immortal Ending. The 2007 season wasn't supposed to happen. Strahan didn't show up to training camp, missed the entire preseason. The Giants were preparing for life without him. At 35 years old, coming off a career-threatening Liz Frank injury, what did he have left to prove? But Tom Brady and the Patriots were out there going 16-0, looking invincible, talking about perfect seasons. And something about that perfection pissed Strahan off. He came back for one more year, one more chance at the only thing missing from his resume, a championship. "I never had to stand in that tunnel alone," Strahan would say about his leadership. "I had Jesse Armstead by me." But now, Armstead was gone. The old guard had retired. This was Strahan's team, and he had one last miracle left in him. The Giants limped into the playoffs a 10-6 wildcard team. Nobody gave them a chance. ESPN analysts were already planning the Patriots' perfect season parade. Vegas had the Patriots as 12-point favorites in the Super Bowl. That's not a prediction. That's disrespect. February 3rd, 2008, University of Phoenix Stadium. The Patriots were undefeated at 18-0, 2 minutes away from perfection. The Giants were down 14-10. Tom Brady, the Golden Boy, 3-time Super Bowl champion, MVP, took the snap. And there was Michael Strahan, 36 years old, 15 seasons of punishment on his body, coming off the edge one more time. Brady never saw him coming. The sack was beautiful, textbook form, violent finish. Brady in the dirt, wondering what truck just hit him. The Giants' defense had sacked Brady 5 times that day, but Strahan's was the one that mattered. It was his last great moment in a Giants uniform, and he made it count. After Randy Moss scored to put the Patriots up 14-10 with 2 minutes 42 seconds left, Strahan gathered the defense. 17-14 is the final, okay?
17-14 is the final, okay?
He told them. 1 touchdown. We are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
1 touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
Then came the play that defied physics itself. 3rd and 5, 1:15 left on the clock. The season, the legacy, everything on the line. Eli Manning dropped back, and the Patriots' pass rush collapsed the pocket like a building demolition. 4 defenders converging. Manning somehow escaped, scrambling right, defenders grabbing at his jersey. He heaved the ball downfield, a prayer more than a pass. David Tyree went up for it. Rodney Harrison was all over him. The ball should have fallen incomplete, should have been intercepted, should have been anything except what happened next. Tyree caught it against his helmet, with Harrison draped on him like a blanket. Somehow, impossibly, he pinned that football to his helmet with one hand and held on as they crashed to the turf. 32 yards, first down. The most improbable catch in Super Bowl history. The Patriots' perfect season was crumbling in real time, and the kid from Germany was on the sideline, watching his defense's work pay off in the most miraculous way possible. 4 plays later, when Eli Manning found Plaxico Burress for the game-winning touchdown with 35 seconds left, when the Patriots' perfect season died at 18-1, Michael Strahan was on the field for the final kneel-down. The kid from Germany who didn't play football until he was 17, who got one scholarship offer to a school nobody had heard of, who was the 40th pick in the draft, standing there holding the Lombardi Trophy. There will never be another Michael Strahan. Defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo would say later. What he did, how he did it, where he came from, you can't replicate that. The man retired 4 months later with 141.5 career sacks. 6th all-time as of 2025, 854 tackles, 24 forced fumbles, 7 Pro Bowl selections, membership on the NFL 2000's All-Decade team, and 1 perfect ending. He never played another down. Didn't need to. When you've slayed perfection, when you've climbed the mountain and planted your flag on Tom Brady's chest, what else is there to prove? Life after football. While other NFL legends struggle to find purpose after football, Strahan conquered television like he conquered quarterbacks, with preparation, charisma, and that gap-toothed smile that became his trademark. Fox NFL Sunday, Good Morning America, 2 Daytime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Entertainment Talk Show Host, a Hollywood Walk of Fame star. The man who barely spoke English properly as a teenager was suddenly America's morning wake-up call. But here's the beautiful irony. Strahan became bigger after football than he ever was during it. The $100,000 pyramid, his own clothing line, SMAC Entertainment producing content for HBO and Prime Video. He went from sacking quarterbacks to interviewing presidents, from terrorizing offensive lines to making suburban moms laugh over morning coffee. His father, Gene, the Army major who woke him up at 5 a.m. in Germany, lived to see him inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2014. When Gene passed in 2020 at 83 years old, he left knowing his crazy prediction came true. That chubby kid from the military base really did make it to the NFL. At his Hall of Fame induction, Strahan's voice cracked. "Dad, I got to say it paid off. It really did."
And Dad, I got to say it paid off. It really did.
Michael Strahan proved that greatness doesn't follow a script. It doesn't need Pop Warner trophies or Friday Night Lights. Sometimes greatness comes from a military base in Germany, from 5 a.m. runs through foreign forests, from coming back from a career-ending injury when everyone says you're done. There will never be another Michael Strahan, because there will never be another path like his. From Mannheim to Manhattan, from 1 year of high school football to the Hall of Fame, from learning the game at 17 to setting records that still stand today. The gap-toothed assassin didn't just play defensive end, he redefined it. He didn't just win a Super Bowl, he destroyed perfection itself. Some men are born great, others have greatness thrust upon them. Michael Strahan? He figured it out along the way, one quarterback at a time, until there was nobody left to conquer. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you want more legendary NFL stories that'll blow your mind. Leave a comment with which player's untold story you want to hear next. End Zone Exposed is where the truth always scores.